All right, good morning, ladies. Hi. So great to see all of you again. This is my 6th talk over Shabbos, so I'm already very hoarse. I hope you can all hear me well. And no more introductions necessary because I assume most of you know me by now. We will carry on with our final talk for this Shabbos, for this weekend, which was absolutely spectacular. How amazing was this? On a scale of 0 to incredible, how was it? Yes. Incredible, right? This was amazing. So it was really, really nice connecting with so many of you over Shabbos. And we're going to leave on this note, okay? The title of this class is The Superpower of a Jewish Woman, said the moment my mother walked in the door. Look at that. The superpower of a Jewish woman. That's my mom, for those of you who haven't met her yet. Okay. I keep telling her she can go to other classes, but she just follows me around, stalks me from class to class. All right. Right? I know. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. All right. It is the month of Adar, as we know. We're halfway through the first month of Adar. We are about to begin the second month of Adar. We have so much Adar this year. Now, not including this year that we have 2 Adars, generally speaking, Adar is the 6th month of the year, right? We start from Rosh Hashanah, we get to Adar, it is the 6th month, it is halfway through the year. Now here's the thing, being happy, which is the energy of the month of Adar, is not easy, okay? Especially in Adar. And I'll tell you why. Because since Adar is halfway through the year, what happens usually in the halfway mark? If you're running a marathon, anybody ever run a marathon? Okay, you ran a marathon, all right. Would you ever do it again? Nope. Okay.
I just had a knee replacement, so you know.
Oh, okay. I don't know. It was worth it. It was worth it. Exactly. I don't know, 26 miles. I don't even want to drive 26 miles. Run 26 miles? Thank you so much. If you ever see me running, go check if someone's chasing me, okay? Because I'm not running a marathon. I did walk a marathon last year, though, the Jerusalem marathon. That was also good. That was a lot of just walking through the streets of Yerushalayim. There's nothing like that. So I did walk the Jerusalem marathon. But so anybody who has run or walked a marathon, or you could imagine running a marathon, at what point do you feel like giving up? Midway. Well, not really the beginning. No, the beginning, that's when it comes to other marathons, like a new diet. That we, the second day, we're like, get on the scale 2 minutes after we start, right? But when it comes to running a marathon, when it comes to making major changes in life, when it comes to doing things that are difficult, in the beginning, we're sometimes inspired. And that's why we make changes in the first place, right? So the beginning is not where it's really difficult. We're inspired, we want to go, you start the marathon, you start running, you got this, right? At the end, even if it's really, really, really hard, at the end, nobody gives up because you can see the finish line. You're almost there. The place where people really, really give up and lose hope sometimes is in the middle, when they're halfway through. Because, they're no longer inspired from the beginning, but they don't see the finish line yet. And that's when things get really, really difficult. That's what Adar is. Adar is right in the middle of the year. We are no longer feeling the Rosh Hashanah inspiration. That is long gone, right? We don't have it anymore. But we don't see the end of the year yet. Like, we're just standing here right in the middle. And Adar is that moment of vulnerability. It symbolizes that halfway place. That's why we get an extra dose of simcha in the month of Adar, because we need it. We need it more. We need that pick-me-up. We need that push, right? We need that encouragement, that enthusiasm. So that's why we have this extra dose of Adar, of simcha, of joy during the month of Adar. Now, that's actually when we feel the most vulnerable, feel the most broken, and that's when we lose hope the most, okay? So, which is amazing that the Project Inspire convention takes place in the month of Adar so that it can give us that boost of inspiration that we need to move onward, okay? So, hi, please come in. During Adar, there's not only an energy of simcha, we have another energy that we call V'nahafochu. What does v'nahafochu mean? Anybody? Opposite. Shift. It means a flip. I like to call v'nahafochu the flip. What is it a flip of? V'nahafochu means that whatever you are experiencing that you're experiencing in a negative way, right? Something that is difficult for you. The month of Adar has the opportunity to flip that from the negative to the positive, right? A person is feeling sad. Adar can flip the sadness to happiness. A person is not doing well financially. Adar can flip you from poor to rich. Okay, Adar has the ability to flip. A person is struggling in their health. It has the opportunity to flip you from sick to healthy. Okay, your mother-in-law hates you. Sorry, no cure for that. no miracle for that one yet. She's still going to hate you. But that's the month of Adar. Okay, it's this month of possibility. It's a month of hope. When you're at your most vulnerable place, it's a month of hope. That's what Adar is all about. And that's what I wanted to share with you today. Something that is called a mindset. Because if we want to experience that joy, the joy is all around us during the month of Adar. And this year, I mentioned this last night for those of you who were here, 2 nights ago. Adar is, we have 60 days of Adar this year. We have 2 months of Adar this year. So they have this energy of Simcha all around us. And if we want to experience the v'nahafahu that we need in life, whatever we want to flip, and this is in our personal lives, by the way, it's in our global lives also, right? We want the shavuyim to go from captivity to freedom. Got to flip that during the month of Adar. We have that energy. Okay, we want the world to go from war to peace. Adar, v'nahafahu, we can flip that this month. So how do we tap into that joy that is surrounding us all the time so we can actually experience the v'nahafahu that we need, whether personally or globally? So here's the thing, when we take the word simcha, all right, simcha is what we translate to mean happiness, although it is not an exact translation. Whoever was here Friday night, I gave a better translation, and we called it contentment, inner peace, menuchas hanefesh. How do you say to be in a state of joy or in a state of contentment in Hebrew? To be be-simcha, right? Be-simcha. If we take the word be-simcha and we play a little bit anagrams, all right, we flip around the letters, what is another word that we get? Machshava. Machshava. Besimcha. To be in a state of joy requires us to exercise our thoughts. Hi, good morning. Machshava, our thoughts, is a thought, okay? Because where does happiness begin? Where does joy begin? Where does contentment begin? It all begins over here. So we're going to talk a little bit about a mindset. Now, you've heard the word mindset before. What is a mindset? It is the way you set your mind. Now, this is something that we actually have control over. We don't have control over so many of the circumstances in life. Any of the things that you're experiencing now that might be weighing you down, the things that you need a flip, the things that you may be in that space of vulnerability, in that space of brokenness, in that space where you may have been losing hope, in this halfway mark. If you're any of those things that you're experiencing, they might be out of your control. But there's one thing that's in your control. The only thing that's in your control is your mindset, your attitude, your thoughts, the way you perceive things. All of those things are in your control right now. And those are the things that we need to grab onto. Those are the things we need to take advantage of and say, I got this. I might not be able to control the circumstances in my life, but I could control the quality of my life, because my circumstances do not have to define or determine the quality of life that I live. So I want to talk a little bit about optimism versus anxiety. Okay, let's talk about that. Because anxiety and optimism both have the same physiological response. They both require us to imagine something that hasn't happened yet, right? Both anxiety and optimism require us to imagine something that hasn't happened yet. So if we have the ability to worry about the future, we also have the ability to imagine a better one. Now, there are 2 words that, when used in a fixed mindset, have one meaning, and you take those exact same words and you use them in a growth mindset, and they have a completely different meaning. Let's first talk about what is a fixed mindset, what's a growth mindset. A fixed mindset is, this is me, take it or leave it. This is the way I've always done things. This is the only way to do things, right? There is nothing that can change my mind. This is what I believe. This is the way I do it. Anybody know anybody who lives in a fixed mindset? Anyone have like a grandfather? Anybody? Right? Okay. We all know people in a fixed mindset. This is the way it goes, finished. right? Now, what's a growth mindset? A growth mindset is exactly the opposite. A growth mindset is, oh, that's so cool. All right, that's interesting. Tell me more about it, right? Let me try something. Okay, maybe this is what I always thought was the right way to do it, but I'm open to trying your way too. Okay? Oh, wow, I heard an amazing class that really inspired me. You know what? I think I'm going to make a change in this area of life. That's a growth mindset. Someone who's always open to learning and growing more. It's not only about what I know. Not everything that I think or do is the only way to do it, okay? So that's a fixed mindset, that's a growth mindset. Fixed mindset usually does not allow themselves to experience any sort of inspiration, any sort of growth. So when we have these two words that I'm about to tell you, we use them in a fixed mindset, they mean one thing. We use them in a growth mindset, they mean something completely different. And those two words are, what if? What if? What if in a fixed mindset becomes all the things that might go wrong? What if in a growth mindset becomes all the things that might go right? And let's take an example, all right? An example, somebody in a fixed mindset, somebody lost their job. They lost their job, all right? They're scared, they're upset, they're disappointed, any emotion you can think of, and all of it is legitimate. But what happens next? Again, they're in a fixed mindset. I lost my job. What if no one ever hires me again? What if I never find something I like? What if no one's impressed with me? What if I end up homeless? What if I die alone? Right? The what if, the what if, the what if of anxiety in a fixed mindset. Somebody loses their job in a growth mindset. Okay? They're sad, they're disappointed, all legitimate feelings, of course. But what happens next? In a growth mindset, you know, what if that was actually not the best job for me at all, but I never would have left because I was so connected to that job? What if there's something much better for me waiting around the corner that I never would have noticed before, right? Right? What if this was a job that I wasn't even using all my strengths, but there's something that I could really, really get so much more satisfaction from? This is an opportunity for me to find something different. Do we hear the difference in the what if? So the circumstances did not change. The only thing that changed was our mindset. We could have a what if of anxiety, or we could have a what if of possibility. And it's up to us to flip that switch. Right? We're the ones who make that decision. How am I going to live my life? In which mindset? What if of opportunity? What if of anxiety? And you could insert any example here, right? I was recently talking to somebody who was dating. She was dating this guy for a while, and she really thought she was going to marry him. She was so excited. She thought they were getting engaged. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, from her perspective, he broke it off. And she was devastated, rightfully so, right? This was very, very difficult for her. And first she started spiraling. She was, what if I don't find the right person? What if nobody ever marries me? What if I can never like someone the way I liked him? What if nobody ever connects with me the way he connected me? What if I don't find anyone that I have this in common with and that in common with? What if I end up alone? What if I die alone with my 12 cats? Right? What if of anxiety? She was spiraling. The what if of in a fixed mindset causes us to spiral downward. The what if in a growth mindset causes us to elevate to our greatest heights. So I helped her flip that mind switch. I said, what if that guy really wasn't the right guy for you and you would have been stuck in that marriage because you were too afraid to really recognize that there might be somebody better for you out there? What if this was Hashem's gift for you? Allowing this to happen now instead of later. Because what if there's somebody waiting for you right around the corner that you would not have even looked at before or noticed before or been open to before, right? And guess what? There was actually somebody who lived around the corner from her that she met 2 weeks later and is now happily married to, right? So what if? We could worry. We could spend our entire lives worrying about something that most likely will never happen, because statistically 99% of the things we worry about never happen. Okay, maybe it's because we worry. Hey, maybe worry works, right? Who knows? But 99% of the things we worry about actually never happen. And you know what? The 1% of the things that might happen, right now, they seem so daunting. What if this happens? I feel like I'll never be able to get through that. I'll never be able to handle that. You know why? Because from where you're standing right now in this moment, you might not be able to get through it. That's because it didn't happen yet. So Hashem didn't give you the tools to deal with it yet. If it does happen, and again, 1% chance, right? If it does happen, Hashem will give you the tools to deal with it when it does happen, and you'll be able to deal with it, right? But if we spend our whole lives worrying about something that probably won't happen, then we can't possibly enjoy life. And if it does happen, we worry once, we worry twice. If we don't worry about it, if it does happen, all we have to do is worry about it when it happens. We don't have to worry about it before it even happens. Okay? So, anxiety versus possibility, anxiety versus opportunity, right? Both optimism and anxiety, they have the same physiological response. We get to choose what we're dealing with. Now, let's talk about Esther Hamalka. Esther struggled with being married to Achashverosh, okay? Do you think that was an easy life for her? We all know it wasn't, all right? She had to go and she knew, by the way, that if she leaves, bless you, that if she leaves Mordechai, her husband, and Mordechai also knew that if she leaves, and he's the one who encouraged her to go marry Achashverosh, right? They knew that she would never be able to go back to Achashverosh, to Mordechai again, right? Halachically, she would never be able to be married to Mordechai again. They knew this. And he encouraged her to go anyway, and she encouraged, and she pushed herself to go anyway, but it was not an easy life. So she gave up her entire past, because she would never be able to be with Mordechai again. She gave up her entire future, and she was going to have to live this very, very difficult present life in the palace. She was extremely lonely. She was the only one there, the only Jewish woman there. She had no friends, she had no family. It was not an easy life for her at all in the palace. And when I talk about Esther Hamalka, I can't help but relate her story to part of my own journey in a way, because I really relate to that idea of leaving your past behind and living in a very lonely and uncomfortable position. I don't know, some of you know me and some of you know part of my journey. Many of you don't. I'm going to share a little bit with you now. But I grew up in New York, Brooklyn, New York. Whoever heard me introduce myself in past talks, I went through a little bit of where I grew up. I was an Ashkenazi girl from New York, married my husband, Sephardi guy from Mexico, and we moved to Eretz Yisrael for 7 years after we got married, where he was getting his smicha. All right, after that, we made a decision to move to Mexico, where my husband is from. Okay, so at the time, I was 27 years old. Super idealistic, all right? Remember, we were living in Eretz Yisrael. I was teaching in a bunch of seminaries. We were having, living it up. It was an amazing, amazing life. And all of a sudden, we had this idea to move to Mexico. People from there were asking my husband when we're going to come. They were thirsty for Torah. He comes from a community that is completely secular. And they were thirsty for Torah. They wanted us to come. So they kept asking, when are you coming, when are you coming? So we finally made a decision that we were going to move to Mexico. And at the time, again, I was super idealistic, and I'm like, Mexico, I love tacos. Come on, let's go, right? So we moved, and it was a lot more than tacos I had to deal with over there. Okay, it was really, really difficult. I didn't speak the language, which, by the way, is what language do you speak in Mexico? Thank you. Everybody asks me, do you speak Mexican? It's called Spanish. So I didn't speak a word of Spanish. I knew one word of Spanish. You know what I knew? I didn't even know si. Can you imagine? I knew cucaracha. That's what I knew. It means cockroach. That was my word. All right? That's not going to get you too far, but that was what I knew. So I got there, no friends, no family, couldn't talk to anyone. All right? I am an extrovert, if you haven't realized, okay? And I need people. And I felt like a social butterfly who had her wings cut off. I know it sounds really dramatic, but you know what? It was dramatic. It was very, very difficult for me. And and in addition to all the other adjustments, suddenly I became the rebbitzin of a community, 27 years old. More than half the community was older than I was, right? I was the only frum person in the whole community. A lot of things weren't easy, but then on top of that, there was the cultural differences. There was the language barrier. There were so many things I had to deal with. And, I remember the first time I went shopping by myself. My husband came with me the first few times, and then I'm like, I can do this, like a banana is a banana. Like, I don't need your help in the supermarket. We're good, But it wasn't really good. It's hard to find things. Things didn't have hechsherim on them. What does this even mean? I don't know what's in this package. It was hard. But I get up to the checkout. This is one story I'm going to share with you out of dozens. But I get up to checkout, and I put all my things on the counter there, and the woman who was checking me out, the cashier, looks at me and she starts rattling off. Anyone here speak Spanish? Okay, so you do? A little bit, okay. So she said to me, "Encontraste todo lo que buscabas?" And I'm like, I didn't even know how to say what in Spanish, okay? So I'm just staring at her. And she repeats herself, "Encontraste todo lo que buscabas?" And I'm just there, I don't even know how to respond. And I'm like, pointing to my things, you know? And again, she repeated it again. You know if you say something to someone and you see they don't understand you, so what do? You yell, right? You talk louder. You speak slower. You find different words, right? No. She kept saying the same words, the same tone, the same volume over and over and over again. Encontraste todo lo que buscabas? And I don't know. So I thought maybe she's asking me if I'm paying with cash or credit card. I'm showing her my wallet, and she's staring at my money inside. Like what? And it was just so uncomfortable. And now I had a system with my husband that if there was an emergency, I call him 3 times in a row. Okay? Because he was busy teaching a class. He can't just pick up the phone every time his wife is lost in Mexico. You know what I mean? So I call him once, no answer. I call him twice, no answer. I call him 3 times. He's like, "Hello?" I said, "Yes, I'm in the supermarket. I'm trying to check out. She's not checking me out. She's asking me crazy questions. I don't know what to tell her." So he's like hiding his laughter, and he's like, "Okay, pass her the phone." So I'm handing her the phone. She doesn't know what's going on, this poor cashier. I give her the phone. She tells him something. He says something back. I take the phone back. He's laughing. He's in front of his class. Everybody's laughing. I was like, "What's happening?" She wants to know if you found everything you're looking for. And she cannot move on until I respond that I found everything I'm looking for. Okay? So this is one example of many. Okay? I'll tell you one more because this one just popped into my mind and it's a funny one. I used to go to all the events. I'm the rabbi's wife. I have to show up at all the events, right? So I go to the bar mitzvahs and the brises and the weddings. By the way, weddings in Mexico are Motzei Shabbos. Could you imagine after a whole day? Do you feel more bloated on Motzei Shabbos than any other day of the week? That's the week we had our weddings, okay? And after a whole Shabbos, come back home, I'd have to redo my makeup and get dressed and go out to all the weddings, okay? Now, so I went to all these events, but they were really, really hard for me because I couldn't talk to anyone. I would sit there at the table like this complete loser, and everybody's like, "Oh, hi, Rebbitzin, hola, Rebbitzin," whatever. And I'm just like, and I couldn't talk. And so finally I started like memorizing certain words, like, certain sentences. I'll be able to say something to some of the people. So I had all these things memorized, and I would ask them these questions. "How you doing? How's your child?" I'd write down the child's name, how's she doing? But I wasn't prepared for their responses. So they would answer the questions, and then I'm like,